Joe,
Cheers.
Joe. Man, you know what? I went through a little moral dilemma earlier.
Uh-oh.
Is that your volume or is it mine?
It's mine.
Gosh, but you didn't hear mine, did you?
I was showing the kids something. One of the things we'll touch on tonight. I was showing them something earlier.
I don't have a beer tonight, man. I tell you what, we'll talk about this here in a little bit.
I tell you what, that red shirt didn't do you justice last week. Your face is definitely red.
See, it doesn't look red. It doesn't look red in the mirror. I don't know if it's the lighting, but man, I was out in the yard today from about 7:30, 7:45 till almost 6 o'clock. I am pooped, man. What's up, John? What is up, Chat Bowl? Hey, yeah, I can see. I'm watching right now College World Series elimination game, LSU and Tennessee. Man, I hate to root for either one of these teams, but I cannot root for the Volunteers. Sorry, Chat Bowl. I don't really care which one wins, to be honest with you. But it's not the Hogs. I know that much. Oh, what is up, y'all? Miss Sonia, Jake, what is up? Perfect title for my situation, 90 plus here in Central Florida. Hey, we're going to talk about heat, summertime. It's finally here. It's hot here now. We went from like overnight lows in the 50s and highs only around 79 or 80 degrees.
What?
It's 90 now. 90.
90.
Oh my gosh.
What's hot?
Almost like honey. Why is it so high?
Because it's warm outside. Go back to bed.
Oh, how often should you water your St. Augustine to Texas heat? Give it an inch a week. That's it's really hard to it's really hard to answer the question of how long to water because it's tough because it depends on what type of sprinkler you're using. Are you oscillating? Are you using like one of the old what do you call those? I'm drawing a blank right now.
The rotor?
Yeah. So
impact
sprinklers. So it depends on if you've got impact sprinklers, oscillating sprinklers, a in-ground irrigation system. All that stuff is going to determine how long you have to water. So you got to take the equipment that you've got and get you some measuring devices. It can be a tuna can. Put those out in the yard. Get your sprinklers going and measure how long it takes you to get half inch or an inch of water. And then you'll know how long you need to be watering each time you turn the faucet on. Oh,
that's all you got. That's all you got. Super TA is an inch. Man, damn. Might need to get some of those Blue Chews.
Does that help you, Miss Sonia? I know it's tough because I wish I could give you the answer that says you need to turn your sprinkler on and you need to run it for 45 minutes. I wish I could tell you that, but it really just depends on what sprinkler you're working with, what's your water pressure.
Get the good old tuna can out there.
Get the old tuna can out. You know, it seems like each passing year that goes by, Joe, I worry a little bit less and less about that 1 inch of water a week because I have just, and this is just being spoiled having Bermuda grass, but I have just found that during these hot times, summer, the dog days of summer that are just right around the corner, it can withstand not getting that 1 inch of water a week. But you also have to set your expectations. How green and lush do you really want it? Are you willing to go through this little kind of wiry, silvery stage where the Bermuda's telling you, hey, give me some water? Are you willing to go through that to save a few bucks on your water bill? Because I found out that that's okay for me. I'll save a few bucks on my water bill because once we get some rain, it bounces back so fast. Joe, we're about to go, man. We're about to go. We got 4 seconds. You got anything? Because it's time to go. This is, Joe.
We hot.
It
We
is
live.
the Budget Wooder Show. Go through my checklist here. It's the Budget Wooder Show, Joe. Show 18 every Tuesday night here on Budget Lawns. We're here for the Budget Wooder Show at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central. It's weird being on right now, Joe, because we kicked this show off back during the winter, and I was looking out my front window, and it was just already pitch black at this time of day. And now we've still got sunshine. We're so far west of the Eastern Central Time Zone cutoff that it gets dark here around 9:20, 9:30 now.
Wow.
And
it's pitch black here at 9.
And when I was down in Florida a couple weeks ago, it's where we were is only like an hour west of the Eastern Time Zone change, maybe a little bit more, hour and a half. And so it was already dark there around 8:10, 8:15, and come back this far west, and we've still got bright, sunny, blue skies out, and it's 8 o'clock. If I wanted to go out right now and start getting a mow in, I could, and I would have more than enough time to finish it without needing a headlamp like you're so notorious for, Joe. Have you used the headlamp recently?
No, I got it plugged in right below me here, but I might this week. I'm thinking about picking up a bag of AMS tomorrow and
AMS, fill me in.
Ammonium sulfate.
If that doesn't tell you that I don't know a dang thing about like other supplements and amendments or whatever they are for your lawn, that I truly practice what I preach, there you go.
Thinking about cleaning out the store too, so Super TA can't pick up any either. So.
Oh, do y'all battle? Y'all are that close to each other that y'all battle for product, right?
Nah, I actually reached out to him today and asked him, does anybody in our area sell it? And the place that he usually goes to that actually sells the mulch and sand and different things like that in bulk. They have like a little fertilizer like store there as well. And he called them and said they had some. They only had 5 bags. He's like, how many you need? I might get some. I was like, I just want to pick up 1 bag for now, try it out. I never used it before. And just to try, see what it'll do.
Well,
But,
not that I'm going to use it or anything, but keep us posted. Tell me if it's worth the darn or not. Hey,
I'm not super happy with the way the program that I've been using is going. So I might, tweak it a little bit, but like we start every week. I don't want to get off subject. Like we start every week. Today in history.
Bill's warning you, Joe.
Yeah,
Bill's warning you.
I won't do it. So today in history. Back in 1975, Steven Spielberg's thriller Jaws was released in theaters. It was a huge success. And what does that sound?
What does what sound? Don't.
I'm hearing an echo.
I'm not. I don't hear a darn thing. Don't do this to me now.
But anyway,
we don't have any videos tonight, so I know it's not audio from the video.
So Jaws was released 1975, and it actually takes place, it takes place obviously not in New Jersey, but it's based off of shark attacks that happened in Jersey in the early 1900s. Believe it or not.
Did I obviously was not alive when Jaws came out in theaters, but I know that it really deterred people from going to the beach. Has that ever scared you when you go to the beach?
No, we've seen a couple baby sand sharks. I've caught a couple baby sand sharks in my day, but nah, not really. I mean, we see dolphins every once in a while off the coast. I've never seen a shark fin or anything like that. So nothing really, I mean, there's a couple times I stepped on crabs, but other than that.
Hey, I've really gotten into this dude on YouTube. He's up there from Cape. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank now.
Cape Cod?
No, I can't remember. He might be Cape May. He's a young guy that has his own little commercial crabbing business. First generation crabber, and he's, of course, like anybody else, he's doing it on YouTube now. And it's really
you'll have to send me the link.
It's really got me pretty hooked on it.
Hey, send me the link.
You said something about bulk mulch and all that stuff where you and Bill are going to go duke it out over some, what did you say it was? Ammonium sulfate, AMS?
Yeah, AMS. Yeah.
What's up, Doc? What's up, Doghouse?
there's not a ton of ag stores or co-op stores around us. Like we have a Site One, but sometimes Site Ones are a little iffy if they'll sell to the public or not. So and like the last time I was in Site One, I was kind of like deterred by them. I was asking the guy a question. He's like, "Yeah, this is all we got out here," and I'm like, "Clearly, you have like a shit ton of crap in the back. You don't feel like obviously going and looking for me, so I'm just gonna leave and I'll go somewhere else."
Is that a Jersey thing though? Because you ask an old good old boy something like that down here in Arkansas, and you might regret it because you'll get stuck for like half an hour.
It depends on who the person is and what time of the day it is. So
hey, look, I was hoping I could get you some update pictures of the front lawn. If you haven't seen the video that I did this past weekend, that will give you an update from this past weekend. But so much has been done in the last 2 days. And if I can give you any indication about how close we are, found a piece of scrap paper that my wife was using. And,
oh, look at that drawing.
Well, I'm already starting to calculate how much mulch I need. So when you start to put mulch in, you know that you're getting really, really close. We got a pretty good, almost a final grade today, maybe some touch-ups, but I need 7 yards of mulch, 804 square feet of mulch space in the front yard alone. So like, if you're putting in some mulched areas, it's real easy. You can figure out how much mulch you might need to buy. All these calculators online. I just got the area of each space. Fortunately, most of the spaces are pretty good rectangles and squares, so I was able to find the area of each space, add it up. Lowe's has a calculator. You tell what kind of mulch you're using, how deep you want it to be. I'm going about 3 inches deep. Don't say anything, but we're going to go about 3 inches deep. And so that tells me I need 7 yards. I need 7 yards of mulch. Looks like sod is a little bit delayed until next week, which, sometimes when we hear that it's going to be a little bit out on something, it's initially you're like, oh man, that's a bummer. But I think it's really going to actually work out just fine because I've got so much mulch to put in, some river rock that I want to put in.
What color?
I'm going to go dark brown, chocolate brown, like I use.
Okay.
I've got so much of that kind of stuff. That
you have red mulch in the back, do you?
Mm-mm.
Or no?
It's really faded right now. It's a chocolate mulch.
Okay.
But it's going to work out because I've got so much of this mulch and so much river rock that I want to put in that it's better that I get that stuff in before the sod goes down. That way I'm not rolling my gorilla cart over freshly laid sod. I'd have to wait a couple weeks because I wouldn't want to be nice and wet and not rooted completely. So really, I'd like to get this stuff done.
What are you going to do with the salad bar that you got in those areas?
So up front, which ones are you talking about? In the flower beds?
And where you're putting the mulch.
So my wife and I went out while the kids were trying to take a nap on Sunday. We went out on Sunday and she asked me what I wanted to do for Father's Day. And I just wanted to turn some music on. We went out there and we both hand-picked every single weed out of both of those. And then today, so I did that on Sunday. And then today I got out there at about 7:30 this morning. And I spent from 7:30 this morning till almost 6 o'clock. And along the sidewalk and driveway in front of the wall, like along the sidewalk and driveway, the concrete, you probably saw all that other salad bar mess of stuff. I spent all day today going through and digging out every single weed and piece of Bermuda grass with this little weeding tool. And then I got all that cleaned up and all the rocks and all the gunk out of there so that I can go get some fresh river rock. Fresh, can you call it fresh? But some good river rock and fill those spaces in. So what you saw in the video from this past week, all those weeds are gone. And, it's just, sure, I could have taken a weed and grass killer and gone through there and nuked them all, but then I would have had to wait and see kind of what made it through and maybe give it another round. It's a lot of work to go in and manually do it, but I'd probably have to do another round.
You get enough mulch on there. There's not going to be much that's going to really. grow through.
If I go about
And
three
I
three
don't,
inches deep,
and
it'll
I
be.
don't, and I don't believe in the landscape fabric. I just feel like it's nothing but a mess, especially if you do go to plant, which you are, it's going to be a mess. Just the mulch, believe it or not, does a really good job of holding back most of the weeds, especially if you make it thicker like you are. I mean, 3 inches is better than 1 inch. So, I mean, it's, size does matter when it comes to it
And when it
sometimes.
comes to mulch, it absolutely does. So I'm gonna put down about 3 inches, and then on top of that layer of mulch, I'm gonna sprinkle some of the preen down. That really seemed to work really well last year when I did it in the back lawn. No landscape fabric underneath the mulch. We'll put some landscape fabric underneath the river rock. But at first, I was a little bummed out that sod wasn't going to be here this week. I thought it would be going down, but at the end of the day, it gives me the rest of this week and the first part of next week to get mulch, river rock, everything else buttoned up, tidied up, ready to go, and they'll come in next week with the sod. And that'll be the last thing, and it'll just be watering time on that. Hey, Joe, I'm seeing a question. Hey, what's
Yeah,
up, Joseph?
I'm asking what kind of sod. I don't think she said what kind.
Our fragrance journey. Hey,
Yeah.
let me say this: if it's a new build and it's only getting watered once a week, your builder is doing you an injustice. Okay. Uh,
Plus, is it a sprinkler system? Are you hand watering it? Are you using sprinklers? I mean, we got to know the whole
if
situation there.
if your builder has already laid the sod, it's your builder's responsibility to keep that sod watered and alive until you take possession of the home. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you if there's any contract legality to that. If you've got an irrigation system there, you need to be. I would hate for you to only run that thing once a week.
What kind of grass? Bermuda, whatever. Tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass.
Hey, Bill, I have a better chance of gluing my mouth shut than I do using mulch glue. Okay, and you know that my loud mouth ain't going to shut itself up with some glue. So to answer that question, no, I'm not using mulch glue. I'm about over mulch glue already, like I am Hydrotain. We'll get there in a little bit, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Bermuda, look, I would be getting it watered more than once a week, especially at 100 degrees. It's it's really hard to kill Bermuda. And sure, that Bermuda sod could get laid and it could go. I've seen this happen in a new construction build before. When I built my last house, a house that was built across the street. I mean, you would have counted this Bermuda sod out. You would have thought for sure it was toast. It was dead because it didn't get watered after being laid before the house was complete and signed over. And they gave the water to it like crazy, and it bounced back. But I wouldn't want to take my chances on that. Okay, it just depends on how healthy the sod is coming from the farm as well. But I'd be getting over there running that sprinkler system more than once a week, at least every other day, or you might regret that. I know that's probably not the answer you want, but that's the best, most honest answer I've got. So yeah, we are getting so close in the front yard. If you haven't seen that video, check that out. But I really say that again because if you haven't been following Joe's sign making shorts, he's been doing some YouTube shorts, making these signs, getting ready for the craft season. I'm telling you, I'm not saying this just to be nice to Joe. I'm telling you, if you're into like crafts or just watching a process unfold in really quick time, Joe's doing bang up work on these signs. I promise you. Go check them out. I've got his show linked, or his channel linked down in the description of this live stream. It's right there for you. Go click on it, hit subscribe, check that out. He does lawns, but he's gotten into sign making as well, and he's really damn good at it. So kudos, Joe. I'm enjoying those.
Thank you.
I am. I'm not just.
I got a lady at work. She wants me to make a cigar sign for
Oh, cool.
for her husband and their son for their backyard. So I'll probably show that soon. It's a pretty cool sign, actually.
Nice.
AI generated a cigar sign. I guess it's a thing. I guess you can ask AI and it could spit out something for you. Hey, it worked. It came out pretty cool. So I just had to convert it to an SVG.
It's ridiculous.
I'll be making that sometime probably this week.
Hey, we got to talking about mulch. We were talking about ammonium sulfate. We've already hit on water. Look, we're talking about things tonight. If you're here, you probably want to hear some things about summer Lawn Care, how you can help your lawn beat the heat this summer. Because I know a lot of folks, they've been battling it already. Some folks I've heard have gone 21 days without rain, temperatures in the 90s, up close to 100 already. And I'm not just talking about those folks way down south. I'm talking about folks up further north. I'm hearing some from Ohio and through the Midwest that it's just brutal out there already. And I know you went through a brutal stretch, Joe, but it looked like y'all got some rain.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got some major rain the last week, and it was really good. It was a good rain. The first time it was a steady rain. It wasn't a hard downpour. But the second rain, it was just coming down in buckets, and the gutters could not even keep up
I was
with it.
about to say, was there a
It was
clog in your gutter? Or was it just that crazy?
No, it was just. I mean, it was. I and it was no. I definitely wasn't a clog because I actually cleaned them about like a couple weeks before that, and it was just so hard. All the gutters were the same way, not just that one. All of them
Wow.
were just coming out, and it probably stormed for like I don't know 10 minutes or so. But those kind of rains are really not that great because the ground doesn't really have a chance to absorb that water. It's just kind of running off, and that's why you don't really want to put down obviously fertilizer for that instance. And that was a perfect instance there because it's just coming down so hard, just literally just washing right off the grass.
It was
So,
crazy.
but we did get some good rain, prior to that. So things are starting to like that one section, those sections I showed a couple weeks ago, those hot spots, all green again, filling in. I mean, the one section's like a little iffy still, but I know it'll eventually bounce back in the fall time. But it definitely less brown, greener. So we're headed in the right direction, at least for now. I mean, it's supposed to heat up a little bit in the coming weekend or two. So, but we'll see. I mean, I was looking at pictures last year, and my lawn was just so much more fuller, thicker. We just had, I guess, just the right weather in the past. It was just we didn't have that dry spell in May time where we're getting a lot of rain. So, just amazing what a year difference makes.
And it's just amazing what just one simple rainfall can do. Hey, appreciate that, our fragrance journey. We're happy to help. If I don't know it, Joe might know it, and if we both don't know it, then we're going to be honest with you and not try to make something up just to make you feel better. We're kind of straight shooters here, but we found that that's what most folks appreciate. Hey, Lon Guido had a really important question, Joe. I don't know if you saw that question in the chat. Yeah, John. Yeah, don't fertilize right before that heavy downpouring rain, Joe. Don't fertilize.
Yeah.
Do you see what Lon Guido's question was? What's the
The
best?
best snowblower on the market is
I think he's
whatever.
Joe. I think he's. Are you going to answer with a little tongue?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am going to answer it. You know what it is?
Not Toro, is it?
It's not Toro. It's Craftsman. Actually, no. It's whatever you can find on Facebook. You know what it is? It's your hands
And a shovel.
That's the best.
Well,
stuff.
you wouldn't know, Joe, because you didn't even have any measurable snow.
No, I
last
didn't
year.
have any snow this past year. Kind of lucked out.
Yeah, you listen, Joe. You're talking about rain and just the wonders that it can do, man. You know my diet acronym. I always talk about water deep and frequently, early, and use a tuna can to measure how
Yeah.
much water you're putting down. Look, that
That
video.
trademarked?
Huh? No, I probably should, right?
Yeah.
And look, I know there are folks out there that when we talk about comments or something somebody said on one of our videos, sometimes that's a turnoff for people. But I feel like I've got to talk about this because some of the questions that are being asked about watering, and it's summertime and we're going to have to water unless you're just willing to let your yard roast if you don't have any rain in the forecast. But that diet acronym, if you've never heard us talk about that before, diet, D-I-E-T. You want to know how to water your lawn, just remember diet. Water deep, infrequently, early if you can in the morning or early in the evening to give it a little time to dry out, and use a tuna can to measure how much water you're putting down. Man, I had a guy on that video I did a couple years ago. It's been a little over 2 years now. But every year that video kind of gets traction again in the springtime, especially late spring, early summer when the summer weather finally arrives for most everybody. And this dude wrote me an essay about how dumb I was about the advice that I was giving about watering. And he gave me all these, if this, if that, X, Y, Z. And I'm like, look, folks, yeah,
Was his name Long Guido?
I don't have a clue. I was just like, come on, Joker. Like, my only response is, wow, you actually typed all that. Like, the fact that he actually typed all that is just bananas to me. And don't get me wrong, I've typed some long replies to people, but this one was out of this world long. But I say that because there are so many things that you do have to consider. Do you have real sandy soil? Do you have real hard clay that's not absorbing a lot of water, that it's not soaking down into any real good soil? There are a lot of things you've got to take into consideration. And myself and Joe, we can't always give you every single detail to every single question about everybody's lawns, but we can give you general rules, general guidelines. And if you follow the DIET acronym, deep, infrequently, early, and a tuna can, and get yourself an inch of water a week, maybe an inch and a half in the hottest stretches of the summer, you will be just fine watering your lawn. Okay.
It's amazing how sexualized lawn care can really be with the different words. I mean, it's
how what it can be
sexualized.
Oh,
Is that a word? I don't even know if
did
that's
I
a
miss
word.
something?
No,
Oh,
just forget it.
deep. Oh, I got you. Okay, I got you.
Did you see the short? Did you see the short I did this week of Clint and lawn?
Yeah, I did. Nothing.
He
He
sent me a message and he's just like, it was just laughing my ass off. I was like, if you don't like this, I can take it down. He's like, no, I thought the same thing when I was watching it. It was hilarious.
Tip burn is the worst. If the tips are burning, you've got a problem. Okay. But hey, if you've got any summer related lawn care questions, drop them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them. Sometimes we miss them because we get rocking and rolling and don't look over. I hate the live streams where the person on live is just like, they're not paying attention to you out there that are watching. They're just sitting there like, and it's just annoying to me. But I do see a question. Hey guys, got a question. What can I do if I want to kill crabgrass without harming my lawn, especially right now in summer? I have a serious problem with crabgrass in my back patio. Thank you guys. Here's the thing with crabgrass. If you really want to get rid of it that badly, you're just going to have to nuke it. And hopefully it's not very mature. The younger the crabgrass, the easier it is to get rid of. But if it's already matured a little bit, it might take 1 or 2 rounds. Now, I don't know what rounds of weed killer. I don't know what kind of grass you have, but if you've got Bermuda, sure, it might kind of stress it out, turn a little brown for a short period of time. You'll mow that off, give it some water. It'll bounce back quickly. But right now, my crabgrass that I'm seeing is just now starting to come in, so it'd be a really good time to go ahead and hit that if I wanted to. But if you've been struggling with this for a while and it's already pretty mature, not saying you can't get rid of it, but you need to get on it as soon as possible and don't go too long and let it keep getting tougher. Okay? Nuke it. That's right. Hey, yeah. Leave those questions in the chat. I lost my train of thought there. But the title of this live stream tonight, I can't remember exactly how I said it. Do less if you want your lawn to beat the heat. Is that what it was, Joe? I don't have it pulled up. Something to that extent. Do less
if you want your lawn to beat the heat.
And that is truly, I have found that a lot of the people that I follow on YouTube, well, I'm only on YouTube now, but used to on Instagram when I did that, a lot of the people that I've kept up with in lawn care over the years, it's always the ones that seem to be doing too much in the summer that have the issues. Like if you're like stomach is hurting and you got the bubble guts, you want somebody to sit there and just keep punching you over and over and force feeding a bunch of junk down your throat to make it even worse. I have found from my experiences that just simply doing less in the summertime can actually help your lawn thrive. Just sticking to those cultural practices, mowing, watering, lay off the fertilizer if you have to, slow that top growth down, lay off the weed killers. Okay.
Watering. I mean, you can water as much as you want, but in my past experience, watering too much actually hurt me. I mean, I seen a big fungus problem in my front lawn last year in my two big sections, and I kind of learned my lesson. I was just watering way too much. I was watering almost every day just because I was afraid the lawn was going to go dormant, and I didn't want to see that green go away. And I kind of taken a different approach this year of right now I'm sticking to 3 times a week, and I'm if am I dealing with some dry spots? Yeah, but I just know that I really need to just get it through the heat, get it through the summertime. When September comes around,
So
hit it
you're not,
hard
so
with
you're not
fertilizer.
dead.
I'm
The
not gonna.
water starting to fall because
Yeah,
a lot of people's initial thought is if something's going wrong, throw something at it and see if it fixes it. And
yeah,
usually it
yeah,
just kind of wants to be left alone.
yeah,
Give
and
it, give it a little water. Cut your mowing frequency back a little bit because mowing, that puts a
yeah.
little extra stress on it when it's super hot out and you're not getting plenty of rainfall or irrigation.
Yeah, I agree. Do less. I do less, than more. And believe it or not, it actually works.
And kind of
So
what if you were here for the if you were here in the pre-scalp for it looks like we've got some new folks in tonight. The pre-scalp is just our pre-show, if you want to call it. Instead of leaving you sitting there with a 5-minute timer and twiddling your thumbs, we hop on during those 5 minutes to kind of shoot the bull with you for a little bit before the show begins. I'm in Arkansas. Joe is in New Jersey. But I want to answer this question because it's a good question. A lot of people will just base their watering off days of the week. Look, I water I don't, but I'm speaking as someone else, I suppose you could say. Let's just pretend I water on Tuesdays and Saturday. Those are my watering days, and I'm going to put down a half an inch of water every Tuesday and a half an inch of water every Saturday. And unless it rains, that is my, non-negotiable schedule. I'm always going to hit those days. Now, I used to be that way, but I've learned, as I mentioned in the pre-scalp, that I'm okay with letting it go a little bit longer in between drinks. And if you've got Bermuda grass, one telltale sign that you need to water is it will start looking very thin, dehydrated. The Bermuda grass leaves will start shrinking up. They'll almost have this silvery bluish color. And they're getting a little bit crispy. And once you see it looking like that, unless you're okay with it heading to the dormant side of things and going brown, that's when you need to water. If you could catch it right before it goes dormant and it looks a little silvery, wispy, wiry, bluish, thin, hit it with some water real hard and watch it bounce back so fast. That is the easiest way to tell if you need to water Bermuda grass, and I can only imagine that many other turf types will tell you pretty much the same thing when it comes to how do I know just by looking at it that it's thirsty. Yes, Arkansas. Thank you, Bob. Hey, what's up, Bob? Appreciate you being here. Joe, Doc, man, y'all are killing it in the chat tonight. It had 75-degree highs. Holy smokes. Man, I feel you. We just had 70s and 80s, upper 70s and low 80s, and the Bermuda was just kind of creepy crawling. And now all of a sudden it jumped up to 90 with overnight lows in the upper 60s. Bam, it is off to the races. Hey, Joe, you've got turf type tall fescue. What are the telltale signs that you need to give it a drink? Is it pretty similar to what I just described with Bermuda?
yeah, I mean it's more of like I don't know, a grayish. Like I don't know. It's hard to describe. I mean, you can kind of just see it. Not grayish. Sometimes grayish, yellowish. I mean, just you kind of like look at it from a distance, and like especially for me, if I look at it from a distance, and I know where my different hot spots are in my yard, you can kind of almost see like a circle, like you can kind of see where that heat patch is, and that's where you got to really hit that section. And that's why I tell people you got to walk around your yard. You got to just don't just assume that everything looks okay. Some like last year for me when I noticed that I had the fungus problem, it it started to like turn color in a way, and I really didn't notice it until I got down in the grass and I was walking to my car to go to work in the morning, and I got down in the grass and I could really see the tips, have that like leaf spot on them. And sometimes you just gotta, get down, look at it, walk around, and you notice this stuff. I mean, depending on how serious you are with the grass. I mean, I'm not, me, I'm personally not taking it as seriously as I did in the past, and that's why I'm watering a lot less, and I'm dealing with different dry spots. But just because you have a sprinkler system, don't be afraid. If you have I have a tripod that I get out sometimes, and if I see a couple localized hot spots, which I normally do because of my coverage from my sprinklers or just different shadings and different things like that, I'll get that tripod out there. I'll hook it up to my Meldor water timer. I'll put it on for like 30 minutes, and I'll just have it go back and forth on the impact. I'll just have it like really a small section, like narrow it down so it's just going back and forth real quickly. So I'm getting a lot of water in that one section, and that way I'm not running my sprinkler system that might be doing a couple different areas, and I don't really need water in those sections. Just get the impact out there, and just do that one little section. And if you have a water timer, it makes life even easier. You just hook it up for 30 minutes, it shuts off, and you can walk away. You don't have to worry about it.
You almost kind of got to pick and choose which parts of the lawn are important to you. Hey, what's up, Brett? I want to answer a question, Joe. Yes, Bermuda, if you're in Texas and you have full sunshine, Bermuda. If you have shady areas, St. Augustine would be something that you might want to look into. You kind of got to decide, okay, if these areas get watered, I'm cool with that. And if these areas don't get water, that's okay too. Like
I had sections that were completely brown, and the little bit of rain that we got, the nice rain, everything bounced right back. And so don't be afraid. Like if you don't want to water your lawn, nonstop and keep up with it, like the grass is resilient. It will come back.
Sometimes nature will take care of itself far
Yeah.
better than we can take care of it.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, I look at the turf fields. Like when I went to the sod farm, Tuckahoe, Tuckahoe Turf Farm by me. I mean, they have 800 acres of grass.
they can't keep it all irrigated on
They
the schedule that we talk
no,
about for our
they
lawns.
I mean, they have these huge motorized sprinkler
Pivots, is it
systems
the
that they go up and down, and but like they're relying on a lot of Mother Nature themselves, and these they're green, it's grass, it bounces back. I mean, they're not too worried about it. They can't. I mean, they do a pretty good job. They have an automated system, based off of rain and things like that. They told me, but 800 acres is a lot of grass to maintain, and they can't, they
So-
got to rely on Mother Nature somewhat.
unless you want to only be in your lawn outside of work, it's pretty tough to micromanage it. I mean, it really is. I've kind of come to terms with my boundaries in my lawn. What I really noticed last year that I've never had to deal with before, because I've never had a retaining wall, and now I just added all these retaining walls into the front yard. But right behind a retaining wall is a bunch of gravel backfill, and there's not a whole lot of topsoil. I mean, there's a good amount above that gravel, but not a whole lot. And that gravel is for a French drain and so many other structural elements to building a safe retaining wall. Yeah, catch it. But having all that gravel for that French drain, man, it doesn't matter how much you water it, that stuff's going down into that drain pretty quickly. So my boundaries I've set for my lawn this year are, look, I'll set sprinklers up along the backside of that retaining wall in the backyard, and the same thing in the front once that sod is established. And I'll set up the sprinklers there to ensure that that area gets the water. And wherever else they hit is fine. But I'm not going to move those things every few feet just to make sure that a far back corner by the fence that no one ever sees, that is just like a no man's land, gets water. I'm not worried about those areas. I make sure that back behind the retaining wall, in the main stage of the backyard, the main stage of the front yard, it gets its water. It stays as green as possible.
I don't
and I'm
water
okay with that.
I don't water my backyard at all. I mean, it's a mixture of Barenbrug, tall fescue that they sent me last year, and it's like clover. I don't do anything other than fertilize the backyard. My wife really doesn't want me to do anything, so that's fine, whatever. And what's funny is we have a fire pit. I should have took a picture. We have a fire pit back there, and I had a big ass. I took my Christmas tree, stuck it in the fire pit a couple weeks ago, and this shit just went up. It was bad, and the heat from just all that from the Christmas tree just was a big brown spot around it. But all that rain we got, even my backyard was really dry, really brown. All that rain we got, I mean, it's green again.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
it's just crazy. That's how resilient grass is. And even around that fire pit, it's amazing. It just the brown section just getting closer and closer to that fire pit because it's just getting the water absorbed there, and it's crazy just to see that.
A couple questions I saw come in. Um, as far as my dog goes, the backyard is hers. I'm not going to let her pee all over the front yard once it gets the way I want it to be. But the backyard's hers. I don't care. The urine spots don't bother me at all, especially with Bermuda grass because they bounce back so quickly. I know if you've got like tall fescue or Kentucky bluegrass that grows a lot slower than Bermuda, those can kind of be frustrating to mess with. But with Bermuda, she pees wherever she wants, and I just deal with it. That's part of having a backyard for pets and kids. That's what they're supposed to be used for. No, I'm not thought about sprigging it. Um, I've cut down so much of the square footage that would have been sod in the front yard um, by making them landscape areas. So we're just going to go back to sodding. It's on such even after we've taken the main hill out of this front yard, there's still a pretty good slope, and I need some sod there right out the gate to really control erosion in the event that we were to get some of those pop-up summertime storms that just can dump an inch of rain in half an hour, which I've seen on a handful of times. So yeah, I know sprigging, you're seeing some of that is going on. What's his name? Ben, the lawn guardian, uh, has a really sweet. It is Ben, right? Why am I drawing a
Yeah,
blank?
I think
Ben,
it
the
is.
lawn
Yeah,
guardian.
yeah.
Uh, he's got a really sweet project going. I know Cam at Elevated Lawnscapes. He did one with his pops and posted some pictures of it on Father's Day. That was very cool. So sprigging is a good option if you have a huge area, but for the 1,500, 2,000 square feet I've got in my front yard, it it only makes sense to go ahead and put sod down, get it watered in, rooted, and get back to lawn care as soon as possible in the front yard. Joe, another thing, I know it's hard sometimes because we think we have to be on schedules for a lot of things, but if you want to help your lawn out in the summer, now this might not apply so much to me because I've got Bermuda grass and it loves the heat, but for you cool season folks, I mean, I'll still do this for Bermuda grass, but not quite to the extent cool season folks will. But I'll lay off the fertilizer in July. I know you probably don't fertilize much at all through the hot summer months. And if you're not fertilizing a lot and it's super, super hot and things have slowed down, don't feel like you got to go out and mow on your normal schedule. You might
Yeah.
increase that time in between mows instead of like me, for example, every 3 or 4 days. If it's dry and not getting fertilized, it's probably not growing quite as vigorously, and you don't have to mow as often, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm actually back to once a week right now.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably maybe if I really wanted to, maybe 2 days a week, but I'd be really probably the second time I really wouldn't be taking a ton off. So, I mean, when the time is there, don't feel like you gotta keep if especially cool season. If you don't have to do 2 days 2 times a week, then don't do it. Just do once a week. I mean, put on the mulching blade if you do have mulching capability with your lawnmower and just mulch it into the grass. It's the best thing for it, and live with it. And for the time being, I mean, I only July and August. I last year I probably put down I think a quarter pound of nitrogen and maybe even less than that. Not much at all, because I mean I didn't really want to run the risk of burning the lawn. And what I was using, had a high nitrogen liquid number. It was, I think it was an 1803 was the liquid. And but yeah, I definitely would agree. Cut back on the cutting if you can.
And the one thing, and it's not just in lawn care; it's across the board. It doesn't matter whether it's lawn care, crafting, home renovations, home maintenance, whatever it is. We tend to think that because some joker online is doing it this way, that's the way to do it, and we have to do it that way, or we can't achieve what that person has. But I can almost assure you that if you see picture perfect lawns in the dead middle of summer, it's not that this person or that person is doing everything uh, uh, better than you can, or that you have to do it that way. There's one thing they're doing, or two things they're doing, that you might or might not be willing to do. They're spending a whole lot more time and a whole lot more money. It's that simple. If you're willing to put in 110% on time and 110% of your finances to make sure your grass stays perfectly green all summer long, you can do it. But you just got to decide where you draw the line. And
I mean,
every year that goes by, my line keeps getting pushed further and further out, because I learn just a little bit more, and I experiment with a few different things each year that showed me, like, okay, early in the game, I wanted my lawn to be perfectly green all summer. Now that I've figured out I can do it, now that I know it's going to bounce back really quickly, that's not my goal anymore. I want to save even more time and more money, and kind of push the limits to a certain extent. And I found that to be a lot more fun, to see it kind of go downhill and shoot right back up when conditions get more favorable.
And if your lawn is really brown and you just don't want to do the watering because you're on a budget, and you don't want to have a high watering bill, if you have a well or city water or whatever you may be on, don't be afraid to paint the lawn. And seriously, like I'm dead serious. Don't be afraid to paint it. Like, it
It's
actually
not
looks.
my
I
style, but that's the cool thing about this
Yeah, it
show.
might not be your style.
Joe's into
I've done.
that, and I'm going to bust his balls over putting paint on his lawn. But
I did it in the middle of February because I was sick of looking at a dormant lawn in the middle of February. And you know what? It actually looked pretty good. And we talked about this in the past with when the Super Bowl was around, that, a lot of professional fields that you see on TV are actually painted in some sort,
oh
and you
yeah,
don't know it, but they are. So
it's polishing a turd, man. And
yeah,
sometimes you know you're going. It's so hard to get every last grass blade
fake Nadia guys. That's
fake
all I
natty,
say.
right? Uh, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because somebody was asking me about mulch glue earlier, and I think I got asked about it in a comment. Somebody asked why I didn't have mulch glue in my backyard with all those slopes. Oddly enough, I don't have enough moving water, like
I,
flowing
I'm
water.
I'm I don't see the appeal of this. Like I seen people spray it and it gets super hard, but like when you want to like
If I
take
want
it
to
out, it's
plant
like
and
it's like a flat and hard. Like it just it doesn't look. I don't know.
And I told somebody, I said, I'm not into using art supplies on my lawn, whether it be paint or glue. Like, that's just not my thing. Not saying that's bad for anyone else. Joe's not against the paint, but you're never going to see me paint my lawn. I can assure you of that. Hey, somebody asked me about a recommendation for grub control. Here is my recommendation for grub control. This will not apply to most of you cool season folks, but it looks like we're a little warm season heavy tonight, Joe. But
Yeah.
here is my solution for grubs. No products. I've never treated for grubs. I've never tried to cure them. I've never tried to prevent them. Have I always had them? You betcha I have. How do I know I've had them? Because I've had Japanese beetles, June beetles. I've had every kind of beetle, hovering moths in my backyard. If you see moths and beetles, you've got grubs somewhere. And I've always had those two creatures around my lawn, around my house this time of year. But here's the thing: Bermuda grass, if you're treating it correctly with the cultural practices, watering, fertilizing, and mowing a lot, unless you just have this crazy infestation, you should be able to keep ahead of the grubs. You should be able to keep it growing so quickly and vigorously and getting so thick that the damage the grubs are doing can't beat the Bermuda grass, if that makes sense. So they say that like per square foot, you're supposed to be able to tolerate so many grubs per square foot without seeing any damage. Bermuda grass, if cared for properly, can withstand more grubs per square foot. And I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers, but Bermuda grass can withstand more grubs per square foot of turf without seeing big time damage if you're just taking care of it the right way. Mowing it a lot and watering it and giving it a little bit of food, and it will grow faster than the grubs can damage it, if that makes sense.
You know what else likes grubs?
What's that?
Moles.
Moles?
Do.
Okay, so, and I was about to say that earlier. I'm glad you said that because I have got a mole or a vole, one of the two.
Well, I got the solution for you.
Well, voles eat seeds, right? And moles eat grubs. Armadillos go after grubs. They destroyed my dad's yard one fall. Destroyed it. But so if I remember correctly, voles eat seeds. They're not going to eat the grubs like the moles will or the armadillos or some other creepy crawly creatures at night. But what I have heard is that if you have a lot of birds, which I have a ton of birds in my yard, okay, that's a sign you might have some grubs. But it's also a sign because of the vegetation back in the field behind our house.
I also say, like, if you know you have a grub problem from in the past, then go ahead and treat it. You know, if you feel like you're good with grubs and you don't get them every year, or if you've treated them in the past and or you just don't see any kind of spots from where grubs are eating,
That's it, right,
whatever.
Joe? That's it, right there.
Like don't feel like you have to
always do a preventative
because
bingo. All my research has shown you don't have to treat for grubs, or you really shouldn't treat for grubs. Now, shouldn't, is that the right way to put it? But everything I've read, especially from extension offices and stuff, says, look, if you know you have grubs and they're just obliterating your yard, treat for them. But if you don't see any visible damage, what are you treating for? Because there's probably some under there. There's just not enough to cause any damage. But if it's to the point that it's just wiping out your turf, yeah, you should probably treat for them at that point.
So speaking of moles, we're coming up on our annual, I shouldn't say annual, but our 1 year anniversary of getting our mole out of the lawn. So it was 4th of July weekend. My parents were visiting from South Carolina, and this mole there was just mounds all throughout the front lawn. And I tried those spikes that make those like sounds. My wife really didn't want me to poison it or put an exhaust pipe down there or anything like that. So I saw online, there was this guy, I forget his name. It was like the Mole Man or something. And he stuck a hose down in one of the holes. And so I got my hose and I had like a nice strong spout, and I just stuck it down the hole. And it was probably like, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. It was early. And I tried it in a couple different sections where I saw like like the moles, they kind of pop up in a couple different sections when they're trying to get into another tunnel or not. So I tried it previously a couple days before and nothing. The water was just going down and down and down. It wasn't coming up anywhere. So that morning, stuck the hose down there, and I was just getting ready to turn off the water because I didn't think anything was going to happen. And my dad goes, "Look, there it is. There it is." And what was happening is the water was flushing the mole to try and get out of the tunnel because it was flooding the tunnel. So the mole was popping up out of the ground
to breathe.
So I grabbed my shovel, scooped him up, and put him in a bucket and got him out. No harm to him.
Wow.
We brought him in the back.
We lost Joe there.
Where the church is at.
You still there with us,
where
Joe?
Did I cut off?
You
Yeah, I'm
said
here.
we
We
brought
brought
him back. You said no harm to him was one of the last things I
yeah, no
caught.
harm. We put him in the bucket. We have a retention pond behind us where the church is at, and I just let him go in there. But what do you know? That trick actually worked. I couldn't. It took a couple tries of finding the right hole and the right tunnel, I should say, for it the hose to go down. But it worked just like the guy said. You're flushing it out. He's got to find air to breathe. And what do you know? He actually tunneled out of the tunnel, and there he was right in the grass. Now this guy, he picked it up with his bare hands. I wasn't picking it up with my bare hands.
Oh my gosh.
So, but it worked. It really did work.
So here's the thing that's tough for me because back behind my house, it's all that brush. I've got some trumpet vines, which some people hate trumpet vines. I actually kind of like them because it's all natural back there. But there's only this little run that every other day or so it comes out under the fence. So I don't see actually any mole mounds or anything because it's only in this one spot. It's like whatever critter it is, he's coming out of the brush in the field behind me, barely coming into my lawn, getting what he wants and taking back off for the field. Because in the field, there's obviously plenty of stuff back there for him. Why he's made his way up into our yard, I don't know. But I think it's a vole because I don't see any mole hills or mounds or anything. And two, I read online that if you have a lot of birds in your backyard, that's when you might possibly see voles as well because the birds are back there eating seeds and picking around at other stuff, and birds are an indication that you likely have a vole. And if you see the mole hill, then you know you have a mole. But I've never, like, every day I go back there to check and see if he's done any damage. And every other day or so, I'll go back there and there's just this one little run and I'll mash it down with my feet. I don't know if that deters him, that I'm constantly going back there and messing him up, or if that makes zero difference at all.
They'll just find another tunnel. I did the same thing. And actually, speaking of birds and backyards, I actually put up my bat house or my bat box.
Oh, you got one?
I got one. I put it up yesterday, actually. No bats yet. But we'll see. It's worth a try. It's really cool, actually, this house. I mean, it's the way that these bats kind of like fly into there, and this really tiny, nook that they got to go into. So I'm really curious. I did record how I hung it up. I just haven't finished putting that video together. It'll be a short.
If you're clueless,
I'm a short guy.
If you're clueless about what we're talking about. Last week's episode, which I want to bring this up for two reasons, Joe. Last week's episode will tell you all about the bat box that Joe is talking about right now. Last week's episode 2 will also show you some pictures of some of our friends that were sending in photos of their lawns. Yes. If you're new here and you don't know what that is our opportunity every week to show our appreciation to you and say thank you for checking out our channels and watching the Budget Wooder Show. And you get a chance to show off your lawn for the good or the bad. It doesn't have to be perfect. We still want to see what you're doing. So send us your pictures to mybudgetlawn@gmail.com, or you can send them to Joe on Instagram, DM him at Wooderboy Productions, and we will show your lawn here on Tuesday nights. We have no one tonight, Joe. I'm really.
I even put a reminder out there on Instagram and my story, and nothing.
Check out last week's episode, because last week's yards
really cool
that we did were.
It's really cool seeing everybody else's lawns and seeing their progress. And don't be afraid. Like, it doesn't have to be pristine. It doesn't have to look, like $1 million. I mean, my lawn don't look $1 million by all means, and I'm not embarrassed to show the good and the bad and the ugly. So don't be afraid to send it in.
I've got parts of my yard, Joe, that I just said I'm not doing anything with them. In the backyard, around one side of the retaining wall, it's just a steep drop off. I'm not gonna water it. I'm not even really mowing it. Look, I thought about turning it into a flower bed, but then I thought, man, the dog loves to make U-turns around the wall right there. The kids climb up right there, and their friends are making friends in the neighborhood. They're going to want to start coming over and playing in the backyard, and that's just another area that mulch would get all over the place, and I would have to take care of it. And I have one side of my house that I've called my graveyard. I am doing nothing to it. no water, no fertilizer, nothing. It's my place where if I want to lay a hose out in the yard and not hang it back up, that's fine. I'm not worried about it like burning the grass underneath it on a hot summer day. It's my graveyard. If I'm working with tools and a gorilla cart, that's my spot where I'll store things while I'm working during the day. And I don't care what happens to it. And I found that if you haven't done this already, you need to get you a graveyard. Like it's actually pretty awesome because it's just that catch-all area where you can throw stuff.
I call mine Camden because if you're from Jersey, you know Camden is a very bad town and it's a very dumpy town.
We, I think on that side of the house too. Now, I strategically picked this side. Pick a side of the house or a spot in your yard that you know is going to be difficult to maintain. This one is an east-facing wall with a fence not too far from it. It gets some sun early in the day, but it's predominantly shade, which is no bueno for Bermuda grass. So it's going to have a hard time getting the sun it needs to really thrive over there. It's really a pain in the butt to water because the fence is so close to the house if I wanted to water it. And right now, I think that whole area over there, from what my research tells me, is completely infested with Bermuda grass mites. Now, if you've got Bermuda grass and you're like, what the heck is that? It's this little bitty mite that you can't even really see. You have to put it under a microscope, and you'll know you've got it because it affects the nodes of the Bermuda grass plant, and they get really, really, really close together, and it's what's called a witch's broom. I need to bring one on the show, Joe, and it looks like a little broom, and it's really hard to get the other grass around it to outcompete that and kind of overshadow it. Once you've got an infestation with Bermuda grass mites, it might be hidden in your grass to a certain extent, but usually it's very noticeable and can even turn the grass brown and kill it. So if you've seen these little witch's broom looking things in your lawn, that might be what you have. I'm hearing from some other folks in Northwest Arkansas that they're dealing with them too. From what I understand, they like shady areas. Low cut turf doesn't impact it at all. So what can I do about it to kind of mitigate the situation? There's really not much on the insecticide thing that will take on the insecticide side of things that will take care of them. But scalping the grass really, really low when you mow, bagging those clippings, and watering right after you mow are some cultural practices that I've heard will help, maybe not eliminate them, but will help fight off as many of them as possible. If you've ever dealt with Bermuda grass mites, tell us your feedback in the comment section. I've been meaning to pull one out. There's a bunch of them over there, and showing one here on the show. I'll make sure I bring one next Tuesday so that you can see what
real quick.
Yeah, I probably
Okay.
I actually could. I think we still got a little daylight, but another person that I've
That'll
become
be the
friends
title for next week's show, Witch's Broom.
Yeah. Another person I've made friends with through the lawn care community that lives in my area said she is just dealing with them as well. So there's not much you can do about them. Everything I've read from extension offices, everything I can find through Google searches is pretty much giving me the same information. Mow low, scalp it down as low as you can, bag those clippings to try to remove the mites from the lawn as much as possible. Water right after you mow. I'm not exactly sure why that is a tip, but as far as a product to kill them, especially on the homeowner side, you're kind of SOL. SOL. No, it's not a complete damage situation. Like I've still got grass growing over there, but because it's in a shady area, which seems to be the area that Bermuda grass mites like, from what I've read, since it's in a shady area and doesn't get a lot of water, the good stuff isn't getting enough sun and water to grow fast enough and thick enough to outcompete the Bermuda grass mites, so their damage is really apparent on that side of the house. But look, if I'm going to have a spot in my yard that they're going to attract to, let them all go to that one spot and not to my good areas. About to lay some mushroom compost on my Bermuda. Any thoughts? You know, when I go out and do, Joe, stop me if I'm getting too long-winded, but if when I go out and work in the yard, I'm not like a lot of other lawn care YouTubers. I don't carry a camera with me.
Oh, you don't
I,
you don't have a camera guy?
I gotta go out and just enjoy my time in the lawn. And today, you're
You gotta
probably
get
going, what does this have to do with my mushroom compost? If you saw what I saw today digging out weeds and Bermuda grass in the rockiest, hardest clay soil you have ever seen in your life, I was pulling out runners that were this long. I'm talking the
That doesn't look
worst of
that
the
it
worst.
doesn't look that long.
Oh, okay. Let's act like this is 10 feet.
Okay. That's better.
Okay.
Because
Uh,
this I don't know how long this
yeah,
is.
a long way. But I was pulling out crazy long runners. I'm talking about roots that were so deep next to the sidewalk. And I had my little weeding tool and I was just, I'm going to have a blister like crazy. You could see it right there because I was pushing down on this little weeding tool. I just know that Bermuda will grow on concrete. Not to say that you shouldn't use the
Well,
mushroom
you know what?
compost, but I'm budget lawns. And if it will grow on hard red clay or on concrete, I'm not putting anything else down other than a little bit of topsoil underneath the sod and letting it go. If I'm going to put anything on it, it's going to be sand when it's time to level.
What they at the sod farm at Tucko Turf Farms, they actually grow their Bermuda on like a plastic, like almost looks like a weed barrier in a way, but it's like that's what that they actually grow it on. It's like a plastic weed barrier cover. It's crazy,
It's
crazy,
it's incredible. I pulled a runner off the concrete today.
and it's thick. Like their Bermuda is probably like a good, I don't know, almost 2 inches thick. Like when they harvest it. I mean, it's a thick piece
And,
of Bermuda.
and here's one really important. Hey, Valor Ghost, I think you're right that the watering might, once you've mowed and you cut it down real low, the watering, maybe it knocks them off and kind of drowns them a little bit. I'm not exactly sure, but I think you're on the right track. Here's the one thing that I don't think is addressed enough. Is that it? LSU just beat Tennessee. Tennessee going home. Sorry, Chat Vol, if you're still out there. Here's one thing that I think is not often talked about enough. Um, but you see a lot of people, they're deep diving into lawn care because they just got new sod or they just planted a yard and they're new to the lawn care game and they're trying to absorb as much information as possible. Well, for those people that are really new and they're not taking care of an established long term, well taken care of lawn, it's more challenging because you'll find that the longer a lawn has been established and maintained properly with the cultural practices, the stronger it is, the healthier it is, the easier it really becomes to take care of it. Now, I've read research on Bermuda grass when it comes to it's a nitrogen hog. It loves fertilizer. But the older it gets and the deeper those roots go and the more rhizomes that form underground and the more stolons and the thicker and just, I mean, it will choke off anything. It gets so thick that the longer you take care of it and it's in the ground and the healthier it is over proper maintenance in time, it needs less. It needs less and less over time. So I say that to say that you have to realize this is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? If you go back and watch some of my videos from last season when we first got into this house and now we're into the second season, I said in there that it could be 3, 4, 5 years till things get the way I really want them to be, from landscaping additions to the way the turf, the way I want it to be. And I know some people will scoff at that and say you don't have to wait that long. It just depends on what input you want to put into it and how much time. I'm okay slow playing things to get what I want while getting to add more fun things to the lawn besides just a bunch of green grass. Spray the mites with soapy water. I don't know. Might. Exactly, Western Mass. Hey, I meant to tell you, Western Mass, thanks for the info on the moles earlier. That was good stuff. It is. It's just like raising children, okay? When they're little, They need you to like you got to rock them and you got to burp them and you got to feed them and you got to change their diaper and you got to do all these things to them. And every year that goes by, they get a little bit more independent. A little bit more independent. They don't need you to nurture them and baby them all the time. I mean, shoot, we got our two, Joe, are starting to ride bikes already. I mean, just like that. They're riding bikes now, don't want any help doing anything. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
Jeez.
when you know they're getting older. Mine, he learned to ride his bike in the fall time without training wheels, and it's like, holy crap.
They're making friends down the street now
Yeah,
that they're all meeting outside in the morning. I mean, it's freaking awesome because
that's
I
good.
can be out in the front yard and our kids will go out and start riding their bike, and little boy down the street will hear him outside, and he'll come out and put his helmet on, and he'll start riding with them. And then the next door, and then before you know it, we got all these kids out here, and we're kind of on a back corner, and they're just all out there kicking it while I don't have to sit there and babysit and watch them the whole time. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as they don't, as long as they don't ride down that driveway, right? Yeah.
All right. Hey, we are way past this portion of the program. Hey, before I forget, somebody did ask Joe, can you tell folks again, right? Only tell them right after they hit the thumbs. Oh, that was cheesy. I hate that kind of crap. It's so YouTubey, but it's true, y'all. YouTubers say this. People that make videos, I wouldn't call myself a YouTuber. We say this because it helps. Smash that
Smash
thumbs up
like.
button, comment, share this with your friends. All that good stuff really helps tell YouTube that people are interested in this show on Tuesday nights, and we'll send it out to more people because Tuesday night's really not a, it's not a high volume night on YouTube. So we need y'all to help tell YouTube that people care. Joe, tell folks again where they can send pictures so we can feature them here on the
Yeah,
program.
so you can DM me on Instagram. It is same as my name on here. It's Wooderboy Productions. Same logo as you see in the chat tonight. So you'll know it's me. My DMs are wide open, so feel free. That's how we've gotten all of our pictures in the past. Most of them through my DMs in Instagram. Very easy to download. Let us know where you're from, your turf type, and then I'll pull in your Instagram profile as well, so we know who you are. And it's been fun, checking out the lawns that we've had the last couple weeks now. And it was a shame we didn't get any tonight. Like I said, I did put something out on Instagram, say, hey, let's go. Got none. Shoot me something.
Well, hey,
So,
it looks like we've got some new names and faces in the crowd tonight. So I think we'll see some come in over this week. And maybe, Joe, if we get more than one a week, we kind of bank them up so we don't cash them all in 1 week, because we could have saved one or two of those last week
Yeah.
for this week. So
Yeah.
lesson learned. But hey, we usually by this point, we're not doing our due diligence by giving our sponsor the recognition our sponsor deserves tonight. But I think it's fitting that we've waited till this point in the show instead of doing it right off the top, because we've talked about all these things that you could do to your lawn to help it survive and beat the heat this summer, because the official start of summer is tomorrow. The meteorological start was June 1st, but the astronomical start is tomorrow, June 21st. And if you've tried everything and everything's just not working, there is one product that we have not mentioned that is sure to leave your lawn as the envy of the neighborhood, as they say. You will be dominating, Joe. And
Your
you only
neighbor.
have to use one product. Tell us about that product, Joe.
So this is Super TA's concoction juice. It's made in the USA. It is Jersey Fresh. If you see that Jersey Fresh logo, you know that the product is fresh to death, as they would say on the Jersey Shore. So if that bag, it does look very familiar to another bag that I've seen online as well.
He didn't. Joe, just like we do here on the show, we steal stuff from people that stole stuff from somebody else that sold something. And, he's just, all's fair, right?
This Bill loves it. Yeah, so this is again this concoction that he has just got all in one bag is amazing, that you can buy this from him. All proceeds go to Super TA's front lawn. He's hands down probably have one of the best lawns in Jersey. So,
and we say this because there again, if you missed last week's show, if you're following along each week, you'll kind of catch in on some of the inside stuff. But if you missed last week's show with the Bat Box and the friends and stuff, you'll know exactly what we're talking about when you go back and watch last week's show. And I'm telling you, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in lawn care from Bill's Ring doorbell, his Ring cam, his doorbell cam. You got to go check that out.
Yeah,
but this
definitely.
product.
And the other sponsor tonight, I think we're going to save till next week.
You want to save it till next week, Joe?
Yeah, because I got to be kind of loud for it, and it's kind of late now.
Okay.
So,
No, I'm cool.
But everyone definitely tune in early next week. This is the State of the Union lawn address. So you definitely don't want to miss out for next week. Early, we're gonna play early because I got to be kind of loud, and now it's late.
A little late. Look, Joe and I get inundated with sponsor requests every week, all of which are totally fake, but they still come in like nobody's business. We're not beholden to the man. We're not bought by anyone except for our sponsors that are so.
I'll give you. I guess maybe I can give you a little preview of.
Well,
if you love the lawn community, let me get a hell yeah.
People are gonna think you're maybe Macho Man Randy Savage.
Maybe.
Hey Ken,
maybe. Once they see it, they'll know.
We start 9 Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. We pop in at 7:55 for the pre-scout to kind of shoot the bull and let everybody start hopping on. And then right when it hits 9 Eastern, 8 Central, unless we have technical difficulties, we go on. We go on at 8.
Maybe we should. You know what? Maybe we should just do the sponsor.
Are you sure? Because I kind of wanted to get to this other thing. Joe, we have to get to this. Hold on.
Well, maybe let's
hold it. I want you to be Jack.
And I got a good top 5 for tonight. So
we have to talk about this because it's like the elephant in the room when it comes time for summer lawn care. And like with the mulch glue, I'll never know if the mulch glue is worth it or not because I'm just probably not going to do it. Same with this one. Probably not going to do it, Joe. It's a mixed bag of opinions, more good than bad.
Looks like you're spraying something.
A little squirty, squirt. I'm not going to do sound effects. Make me stump, okay? Tell us about this, Joe.
So obviously it's Hydrotain. I think just about every prominent YouTuber out there has,
and the not so prominent ones. They will send that to you if you start a YouTube channel yesterday. All you got to do is start a YouTube channel, reach out to them, and you can make a video with a free bottle of Hydrotain. But I digress.
I wish I knew that. I never gotten a free one, but I've used it. I used it last year. I just got a bottle this year just to try it out again, and I don't know. Like I'm kind of like I feel like a lot of times. Yeah, like I feel like a lot of times these YouTubers that do use it, it's like, oh, I sprayed out Hydrotain. I got rain as well. So is it the rain or is it the Hydrotain? You know, like
yeah, you got to water it in, don't you?
Yeah, and I've seen a couple videos where it's like, oh, I got rain, watered it in, and it's like, all right, so it was probably the rain that turned your grass green again. I don't know. I mean, I've seen.
And if you get thunder and lightning has you get a little pinch of nitrogen for that. So
I mean, I'm sure there's I don't know. I really don't like. I've used it. Like I said, I don't know if it really makes a ton of a difference. I sprayed it down. The same thing happened to me. It rained, and I know it's from the rain that the grass turned greener again. It got less dormant in the hot spots kind of way. So it's like, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
But you're not going to tell
if I don't know.
If you've got an affiliate link for it, what are you going to say? You're going to say it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
Whoa, look, I sprayed this, and now look, my yard went from this dry desert wasteland to this beautiful, lush green paradise.
I think at the end of the day, nothing replaces Mother Nature, rain, and just good old, watering your lawn. So I don't know. I think it helps a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna miraculously like turn your lawn green again. Like you still need some sort of watering. Obviously, it says reduce watering 50%, so you do have to obviously still water. So I don't know. I don't know.
I
think
guess I
it's the
shouldn't
one
be totally, dogging on it because I've never used it. So, but if you know me at all, you know that I've not really I've not really used anything. It's just not my style. So,
By the way, that thumbnail of you spraying is my favorite.
which one? This one?
Yeah, the one that you're behind the bottle
Oh
there.
yeah.
I was going through your old videos and I noticed recently.
That was that was the
You're-
one. That's from when I was killing mice last year in my backyard, right?
And I think so, yeah. And I noticed recently you put yourself in the thumbnails more, so it's been easier to grab pictures of you.
So I went.
So keep doing it.
In the beginning, I didn't. Then I did, and then I didn't, and now I do because if you use Photoshop, Photoshop had a new update a little while ago where you can click on select subject, and it makes it easy to pull you out. Like, so I'll pull myself out of a video. I don't take pictures for them. I just go find a spot in a video where I like the face that I have on, and I just pull that over into Photoshop and select subject, and it makes it so much easier to extract a face out of a video now, so, or an image. So I started doing that again. And look, some people like it or hate it. Hate it when we do the old talking about affiliate stuff, but it's somebody's responsibility to. And I had somebody, Patrick Squires said in a comment the other day, he thanked me for keeping things competitive. And if we're not talking about some of these things, it doesn't stay competitive. It becomes boring and mundane because I get the same emails that all these other people are getting for all the, actually, some of these more popular ones have started fading, but I'm getting the Rainbird, irrigation stuff. I'm getting all this stuff every day. It's one or two emails about, hey, we want to collaborate with you for this. And I'm like, no, because I saw all these other jokers out there doing the same exact thing. That benefits them so much to get the advertising, and they do it by taking advantage of creators. I mean, I don't think they're sitting out there, unless you're a huge YouTuber, they're not sitting out there and paying you $500 or $1,000 to make a video. They're saying, hey, we'll give you the free product and we'll give you 5% off for your customers. Oh, wow, that's great. Talk some real moolah. It might be a different ball game, but the marketing strategy for a lot of these companies out here is, yeah, we don't have to spend a whole lot because we can get these YouTubers who talk about their lawns to just take care of it for us. Okay,
It's
Joe.
info commercial lawn care is what I call it.
Joe's a pro at a Billy Mays impression.
Hey there,
Hold on, Joe.
it's
Hold on,
Billy
Joe.
Mays.
Joe, give us your Billy
No,
Mays
I'm-
impression.
I'm-
One time, just one time. Just one time.
Hey there, Billy Mays here. We got OxyClean. No, that's horrible.
You knew
I
I
gotta
was.
go.
You knew I
I
was
gotta go and
gonna bring you.
gotta snort in the ground a little bit.
You knew I was gonna bring you up full screen on that. Hey, folks, on this show tonight has been super lawn heavy, and it does make a difference. Joe and I have every intention. We started the show to can we possibly sit around and talk about lawns for an hour or an hour and a half? And we kind of took stabs at other shows that do that, and like, oh my gosh, that's boring if you ask me. But we have learned. I think we already knew, but it's one of those things. Like, we understand that you're here on our channels because we do lawn care, and you go to other channels for other topics. So we'll do our best to keep making it as lawn, shall I say, heavy-ish as possible. But we also like to talk about some other things that are going on. Tonight, you haven't seen any of that, but there is something that we do have to talk about. And at last check, there was no good news, Joe. And when you sent this to me yesterday, it's not that I was out of the loop. I just hadn't heard yet because I was bound to hear, because I'm a huge fan of this event in history, like almost to the point where I consider myself like a fanatic about it. Not an expert, but this whole deal with this billionaire's excursion
That's what I was talking to my son about when we first
is
started the show.
bananas.
that he came in because I just got done showing them a video of like what it looks like inside this little submersible, and he's just like, what's going on? Because he was into the Titanic. You know, we he has a book on it, kids books on the Titanic, and I was trying to tell him, you know, tonight how many people died on the Titanic. You know, over 1,500 people, and there's I think 5 people in this sub, and as of like right before the show, I mean, they still haven't had
Nothing.
no contact with it.
And
I think what happened with this sub
they're
is
entangled somewhere down there.
it's either that or I've heard that it could have been imploded, where meaning it got had a leak and there was so much pressure being so deep
Well, they
that
lost
it just
contact an hour and
Mm.
45 minutes into the descent.
Well, you know how this thing is shut, right? The front of it.
No, I haven't looked.
So that front gray part there and that's connected to the white part, it's bolted, like literally bolted from the outside. So these people are bolted in there. So even if for some reason they weren't untangled and they're just bobbing at the top of the surface somewhere, they they can't get out. They're stuck.
It's
It's almost like that Apollo 1 when you know the thing when Apollo 1, you know, the fire, those guys they couldn't get out because they it was opening from the outside. So
it's
crazy.
$250,000 a seat. Of course, there's any time you do something like this, there's a massive risk.
Oh yeah.
But it
One guy's a billionaire and the
Mm,
other guy's like another kid or younger guy. So
another one's with his son down there.
yeah.
It's just I'm hoping that
They're I hate to say it, but they're at this point, I mean, there's only like 2 or 3 ships in the world, and this is one of them that can go that deep.
well there
So
and it's like how it's a I know there's probably some sort of financial restriction of getting another one of those units out there and diving down because what if it somehow got entangled in the wreckage, which that would how awful would that be considering this is
how ironic too.
a graveyard for 1,500 and something souls. But they lost contact an hour and 45 minutes into this thing, and I don't know if technology's improved enough, but it used to take about 2 hours to get down there. So there's a chance maybe they were already down there, but I'm hoping some of these reports that we're hearing, it's tough to decipher online anymore what's true and what's not. But if you heard this report that the thing was being steered, these people paid $250,000 for a ticket on this thing, and it is being steered by like a 2010 Logitech remote controller. Is that like
And there's a
is
light,
that
the
from
light.
like a parody or like some sort of like
And the
haha
light
website?
and the light that's like above them, like that's like lights up the sub inside, he got it from Camping World. Like this whole thing is just I don't know. I know they've done this before. They've done other trips to the Titanic with this ship, but this whole sub just sounds so sketchy to me. I don't know.
Well,
It's just
I also heard too that one of their executives of the company
he's
like got
down there.
fired or something because he expressed concerns over the safety of this thing. This was so you're seeing all these reports coming in. There's a lot of speculation. Coming from somebody with a journalism background, I know it's the sensationalizing of stories, especially with social media. But you see all these stories like, here's what they could be experiencing. Like, for the love of God, like, there's less than 40 hours worth of oxygen left, and we're sitting there writing up stories to put online talking about how they could be sitting in the dark, and these are the experiences that they may be going through. It's like, Lord help me and help them. I'm not optimistic for a good resolution, but well, I'm going to be keeping my eyes on that as a Titanic fan. Hey, John, what are we? You ready to get over this? Okay, I read you loud and clear, folks. Joe, you tell people what John's talking about here.
So
what
usually
last thing? Yes, Doc. What a heck of a U.S. Open. Really cool to see a first time major winner like Wyndham Clark on Sunday on Father's Day. All right, go ahead, Joe.
So if you're new to the show, usually 5 minutes to go in the show. We do a top five with five to
What
go,
is five
or
minutes left to go, Joe? This is it when we
yeah,
say it's 5 minutes
when we
left to
say
go?
it's 5 minutes to go. We've been really going over. We're really when we first started the show, we wanted to say an hour. That's it. But you know what? Sometimes it's just worth going over.
Well, here's
But
what I've noticed, Joe. The later we go, more people hop on. And I've noticed that as a trend in my audience that
yeah,
later on in the evening after kids go to bed, you start seeing an uptick in there's two times the views uptick on the live stream. Later on in the evening and when the fanboys are tuning in to hope we make idiots of ourselves. Those are the two times you see an uptick, but we're going to say right now 5 minutes left on this episode.
yeah, I forgot. Remember early on we said over an hour you get slapped in the face. You
Yeah,
get slapped in the face.
that ended.
Oh, that did. Yeah, that didn't last. All right, so top five tonight. We could do top 5 months of the year or top 5 diner foods.
Ooh, diner foods. Who doesn't like talking about foods? This is
So
usually the point, Joe, where I see the numbers at 30 right now. We've gone from 34 to 30. Let's see how many people. Let's see how many people pop off as we start the top five.
so so obviously Jersey is known as the diner capital of the world. More diners here than per capita. So obviously I've been to many diners in my day. So this is top 5 diner foods in my opinion.
But
So
see,
this is top.
your idea of a diner is going to be totally different than
Yeah, it's probably gonna be.
down here. We don't necessarily
So
have diners. We have more like cafes.
okay, so like diner for us, you can get pretty much anything: soup, salad, dinner, breakfast.
It's like a
Any
cafe.
any time of the day. So for me, when I was younger, it would be always like a Friday, Saturday night. We'd be out at like 12, 1 o'clock. We'd be going to the 24-hour diners. There's one called Philly Diner in my area that's open 24 hours.
Waffle House is
So,
my jam.
so
Waffle House.
number 5 for me is a good order of hash browns
Ooh, see if
from a diner.
that's exactly what I was thinking about from Waffle House, smothered and covered.
So number 4 is, I know this is gonna sound really stupid, but a good like soup and crackers, like a cold winter night. I know it sounds really stupid, but like I feel like diners always have like the best French onion soups too, and like I don't know, uh, that's just me.
No,
Like I just remember
see,
like cold
I
winter
saw,
nights
I saw
being out and like going to the diner and getting like a nice soup or something.
somebody just said
I
patty
know
melt.
that was a dumb one.
I'm thinking about a Texas bacon cheesesteak plate from the Waffle Dash with my big huge order of hash browns, double hash,
All right.
smothered and covered.
All right, it gets better from here. Number 3
It's
is a
Ken
turkey.
zinged you there. You are
Yeah, I know.
adventurous. Soup and crackers. What are you, sick? I better have the flu or some other made up virus to
So you got to remember, like my area, it's very like Italian American, a lot of Italian food, like things in my area. So like a lot of these diners are
they're
either
delicatessens,
Italian,
right? Is that what they're called?
yeah, like it's like they're either Greek run or Italian run.
Have you
Like
seen
there's
this
like
kid?
either or.
Have you seen this kid Sally Slices on online?
Yes,
Is he
yes.
pretty close to you?
He's about probably 40 minutes. He's like near Trenton, like
The
Princeton area. I know,
best.
the best. He kind of gets on my nerves.
He's
But
he found his little shtick. It's his little
yeah.
it's he does the same thing every time. People know what to expect. Last one, did you?
Where are you from? Oh,
Oh, right down
the
the
road.
street. Have you seen? Have you seen the Ed Bassmaster where he goes into Bubba Coos burrito place up in Cherry Hill?
That's yeah, Cherry Hill's right near me.
Go
No, I
go
haven't. I
go watch
probably have, but
go
Ed
watch it.
Bassmaster, he's hilarious.
Go watch his where
Would
he
you look at
pranked
that?
it.
Would you
Yeah,
look at that?
he does. He
I
takes
love
his
him.
Chip Diamond, his dude.
Yeah,
you go-
yeah.
Yeah, go check that out. He goes to Bubba Coos burritos in Cherry Hill and just gets this guy. It's so funny. All right, go ahead.
So
Number 3.
number 3 is turkey and mashed potatoes, and usually the turkey's usually like on like a piece of bread, and they have the gravy in there. It's just like all like it's like a Thanksgiving dinner there at the diner with like the sliced cut turkey and the mashed potatoes. Like I don't know, it's really
That
good.
has to be a Northeast thing because if I'm thinking about something down here where you say mashed potatoes, I better be getting some big old hunking fried chickens, thighs,
No.
chicken breasts, drumsticks, fried chicken, mashed potatoes. Ooh, that's
Number
diner
two,
food.
number two might not be the best place to get this, but for me, I've always had a pretty good chicken parm, dinner
At a
whenever I'm
diner?
at. Yeah, believe it or not, like I usually go to the same diner. I haven't been to a diner in a while, but the diners I've been to, they make a pretty mean chicken parm.
Um, it's it's hard to talk about diners without just talking about a big old
I know.
fat juicy cheeseburger.
I
I'm thinking cheeseburger and
I
fries.
I'm gonna get a ton of hate on this, but I don't care. That's just
It's,
my personal taste.
it's like Joe's
Uh,
takes
I usually order
on
like the same
TV
stuff.
shows and
Yeah.
movies.
And number one for me is waffles. You get the
Ooh,
Belgian waffles with the syrup, and you get the breakfast at late at night. Usually, what I would do.
y'all have
Um,
Waffle House up there? It's a
um,
southeast thing.
yeah, no, I saw one when I went to Maryland a couple weeks ago for work, but there,
Stop.
there's
Go
there's
to
none
Waffle
here.
House. Hopefully they've got the thermostat set on
We
40.
have IHOP. We do have another breakfast place that just opened up. It's called First Watch.
We've got that down
Um,
here too.
yeah, that's new to our area ish. But yeah, we really don't have a ton of breakfast places.
See, I, I would do a big breakfast every single morning, a light lunch, and then a heavy dinner. This, the bookends of the day for meals, breakfast and dinner, are the of course supper. We call it
I,
supper.
Pat, for like, I agree. I'd rather go to a local pizza shop. I would get a cheesesteak, a pizza turnover. Do you guys have you ever heard of a panzerotti?
Uh-uh.
Panzerotti is like a pizza turnover, but it's fried. It's like a pizza turnover, but
Is it
they
like a
actually like
calzone?
kind of, but it's a pizza turnover, but it's fried. Like they actually stick it in like a deep fryer, and it's small, and you can kind of eat it like a sandwich. It's the best.
So
Actually,
the
actually, they are.
best.
It is. It's the best. And the actual Panzerotti started with Tarantini, which is I believe they're related to Quentin Tarantino somehow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So here's assignment, just like on AFV, they do Assignment America. Usually Joe has um, his hot take. Joe does not. We thought he might organically come up with a hot take tonight, but no hot take tonight. So maybe we should start doing assignment Joe, and we can do this one time. But I'm going to have you go to Sally Slice's Family's Pizza Joint. I don't even know what it's called. What's it called?
Actually, we're driving up that area this week, so maybe in on our way back, maybe I'll
And
stop in.
see if you can get Sal to do the budget Woulda Show is the best,
That would be pretty funny.
and maybe we can pop up onto
Did
his.
you see his Barstool when he was
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's no Dave Portnoy, but it's not like
His
Dave
the
was the
guys
big. He was the
I gotta
only big
admit,
guy.
his pizza does look pretty
It
good. The
does. I want to try that.
The Corey Lone that he has, it looks pretty good.
Have you heard the background of that? Like it was some
Oh yeah,
Italian
yeah,
dude. Well, they're from Italy, obviously, Sicily.
yeah.
And it was some dude that his dad knew that had this recipe, and the guy gave him the recipe when he was ready to retire. But they've got it like patented and everything.
Yeah.
Nobody else can make that style of pizza.
I know he was trying to like make it like a frozen pizza or something. I don't know what happened to that because I would have probably definitely ordered it because it looks pretty good.
It
So
looks like it could be a frozen pizza, but I want to try the chicken bacon ranch. I mean, they've got all sorts of freaking
maybe I'll try and get you a slice
flavors.
and overnight it down to you.
Yeah, but that would be cool. Like Dave Portnoy already did his one bite pizza review there. It'd be pretty cool to remember during COVID when Dave did his frozen pizza reviews. I'd like to see Sally Slices get a frozen Corleone. Is that how you say it? Corleone pizza?
Corleone, yeah.
Corleone.
Corleone, yeah.
And he's like, "What do you want?" And this is when he gets the most serious. He's like, "Hey man, where you from?" I'm from San Diego. Oh, welcome, right down the street. And then he like does the whole thing, and he's like, "Okay, so what do you want? You want a corner or a side?"
Side.
And then he asks him
Yeah.
to come around and bless it, and he goes, "The best."
Maybe I'll pull a video for that next week so everyone can see it.
Y'all gotta go check.
Maybe
this.
I'll be on the video.
In here, look. I've said it before. I've gotten to where I watch very select lawn care stuff because it's just fun to watch other people doing other things that I'm not so tied into all the time. And trust me, I'm not tied into
There's actually a Waffle
a
House.
pizza joint in Jersey.
I see Doghouse says take me to a Waffle House ASAP. There actually is a Waffle House down in South Carolina near my parents. So hopefully, if we get down there, maybe this summer, I'll check it out. It's on Highway 17.
Joe,
That's my best Southern accent. 17.
This other guy that I've been following, I told you about off the top of the show, he's from, it might be Cape May, Cape Cod, but he's definitely got the Massachusetts accent. But his channel is, I think it's called FV Southern Girl, and that's his fishing vessel, Southern Girl, FV Southern Girl. But he goes crab fishing, and he started his own like little commercial crab fishing business, and he'll show you how to crack a little blue crab. He'll show you how to get all the meat off the legs. Is it Chesapeake? It's Chesapeake Bay. So okay, so I was way off.
Yeah, you're way off.
But
50 million views on his channel. Damn.
And he's really fun to watch. And the Sally Slices dude, he's okay. But I will watch that guy with crab. There's also another one, I can't remember the name, but it's a family that runs a crawfish farm down in Louisiana. It's not the stale cracker guy. He's kind of a little over the top, but it's another guy, and his son's in some of his videos, and they talk about crawfish bulls and talk about how they fish them on their farm down in Louisiana, and just all this stuff that I know nothing about, and that's why it's pretty interesting to watch it. Now, I still watch lawn stuff, but it's got to be the right folks, if you know what I mean. All right, Joe, did you do 5? Did you do all 5?
I did all 5 that were very disappointing for everybody. I'm sorry. I let everybody down, but that's how we roll up here.
So I can agree with you on if you're going to a diner, you gotta get like a good order of hash browns.
See, Super TA agrees. Baked Panzerotti is the best. It is the best. Panzerottis are the best. It's a thing up here.
Has anybody in the chat ever been to a crawfish boil? Anyone? Western Mass, you ever done it? Trying to decipher what the eyeballs are for.
I'm really excited that we had a lot of new faces in the chat tonight, and I hope everyone that was new tonight comes back for next week, because again, we will have we will have the State of the Union address for the lawn care community next week. You do not want to miss that. We're going to kick that off at the top of the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully I have a voice by the end of it. So please make sure you come back next week. 9:00. We're going to start it right away. 9:00. Come back right here so you don't miss the show.
Hey, I've seen a lot of people tonight thanking us, Joe, and we appreciate the thanks that you give us for doing the things we do here on YouTube, lawn care tips, other random stuff. But thank you all for giving us your time on a Tuesday evening to hang out with us for a little bit, and thanks for checking out our videos and just supporting our little channels here. That's what makes it fun for us. Otherwise, if we weren't making new friends and meeting new people, then it wouldn't have near the appeal that it does.
I had crawfish one time at a Joe's Crab Shack.
Oh, really?
And I threw up afterwards because I don't think they were good.
When we were at a beach last week or 2 weeks ago, I ate more shrimp, more crab legs. We had some king crab legs, peel them and eat them shrimp,
King
seasoned
crabs are the best.
boiled shrimp. It was just the stuff, man. Joe, was that your top 5 at 5? I think that's going to wrap up for us. Y'all have been awesome tonight. If it was your first time in, thank you. We hope you'll join us
Come
again.
back, please.
If you were new to say a little something in the chat tonight, we hope you'll say more next time you're in. That way, we get to interact with you a little bit more, because having the comments come in the chat does really help to drive the bus, and we can cater things a little bit more to what you're interested in. But that's where we're going to wrap this edition of the Budget Wooder Show up tonight. Joe, any last parting words?
No, I got one message from somebody so far on Instagram, Skip. He messaged me on there, so I told him send me a pic for next week. So again, if you want to get your lawn featured on the show, send a pic in. Wooder Boy Productions on Instagram, very easy to do. And we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, thanks, Bill. We appreciate that. Send those pictures in. Come back and join us next week. Share this with your friends if you think somebody else would like to shoot the bull about lawns and life. We want to have them here every Tuesday evening, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 Central. This was the Budget Wooder Show, and this is where we wrap it up. Y'all have a great night. We will see you soon.